Welcome. Thank you for tuning in today. I'm Patty Miller with friends, and I'm delighted to have with me today Tammy Siebert. She's a little bit new to our area, but she is moving and shaking and doing great things with the Alzheimer's Association. Thank you, Tammy, for being here today.
Oh, thank you so much for having me. This is great.
Thank you. It sounds like you just traversed the whole state because you not only work on Walk to End Alzheimer's here locally at Chisholm, where else do you?
Yeah, so I'm the Northern Regional Walk Manager. So that means I'm taking care of the Twin Ports area all the way up to Grand Marais, Grand Portage, and then the Range area. We've been all the way over toward Grand Rapids and everywhere in between. I've met people in Ely and Eveleth and Virginia. It's wonderful. And then I end up down in the Brainerd Lakes area. So
That's a lot of miles.
it's a lot of miles, but so many good people. I've never met so many wonderful people who just really have a heart for this work.
Wonderful.
Yeah.
And you know, this work is so important. Before we turned on the camera, we were talking that Cancer Society and Heart Association, all those organizations that do so much to help find a cure and raise money for research have been around forever, but Alzheimer's is pretty new to the game.
They are a little newer, yeah. They started back in 1980 is when it really became official, and so that's not really that long ago.
No, it isn't at all, considering the others go back so far. 1980, is it partly too because Alzheimer's just wasn't so noticeable, that we're living longer, that more people are? I mean,
Yeah.
give us a few stats about how many people are affected by Alzheimer's.
Well, it's amazing. So in Minnesota right now, they figure there's at least 99,000 people who are diagnosed with Alzheimer's. In Wisconsin, 120,000 people, and at least 168,000 unpaid caregivers trying to take care of their loved ones. So, you know, they're kind of in that sandwich. We're calling them the sandwich people because they're taking care of their family, their young ones that they're raising, and then they're also caring for their parents or possibly supporting their parents while caring for grandparents. So it's a big number. We were just given a new stat of saying to people, I go into a room, raise your hand if you know someone who has breast cancer, and they do. And then raise your hand if you know someone who's had prostate cancer, and they do. And sadly, Alzheimer's is more than those two put together. So it really is growing. I think because people have thought, you know, it's more of a mental illness and they're not sure what to do, but with the brain, and I think that's part of what's been hard for people to start that conversation.
To even say, I went to a funeral of a relative, no less, earlier this summer, and I didn't know that she had Alzheimer's because they live far away.
Yeah.
And then she got cancer after, and so they were saying she had cancer, but really she had Alzheimer's, and it affected the whole family, taking care of her, and they just were really quiet about it. And I think that is so true as far as the stigma that has been in the past.
Right, but we're increasing the conversation. People are talking about it, coming out, sharing their stories, because we don't have to do this alone. That's what the message is. Alzheimer's Association wants people to know there is support. They don't have to do this alone, and nor should you, because also caregivers get worn down, and they're finding many caregivers, if they get too worn down, they may pass away well before their loved one, and then it's really sad.
And we see that too. And it's a disease that affects the whole family. I mean, other diseases do too, but here, I went to a funeral too, and the grandson of the woman who had died said, I just feel so robbed. I never really got to know my grandma because it can linger so long.
Yeah, they call it the long goodbye. And you kind of lose that person day after day after day, and it's hard. So you lose them while they're still living, and then you lose them when they pass away. So that's really hard. There is some hope. There is some great hope that's happened just even since I've been involved a little over a year now. And for me, it's been so exciting to see the CEO of the Alzheimer's Association stand and talked to everybody, doing kind of a town hall meeting and announcing about some of the different treatments that have come out. And she had tears too, and just saying, look, treatment can lead to cure. We're in the era of treatment. And so that is very exciting.
It's really exciting to watch, even on national news, and that people are really following, and that at first real hesitancy to say that these drugs are safe, but now it sounds, tell us a little bit about some of the treatments.
So I think that the third one, it's called Leqembi, is what it's called. And they are finding that it is helping to pause symptoms, or at least slow symptoms, if it is caught in someone who has been diagnosed early enough. And so you need to have a good relationship with your doctor so that you can feel comfortable in having these conversations, and that can be caught. It took a little while for the FDA and the Centers for Medicaid, Medicare to finally approve some access for it. So that really just happened within the last month, which has been exciting. Because a lot of people will ask, Walk to End Alzheimer's is a fundraiser. What are we raising funds for? We raise it for support groups. We raise it for education, and a big, big piece of it is for research. And so many people will say, gosh, how much of this money that we're raising stays local? Well, people who are in this area are getting supported in those ways, but do you want all your research to happen right here in Hibbing? We probably don't, but we're excited because, in University of Minnesota, the Mayo, but now because of this new approval, people who are living in Hibbing and have a relationship with their doctor and might be a candidate for this medication could now receive it instead of having to travel to the Mayo or to Philadelphia or wherever it is. And so the research has now paid off in bringing back local blessings.
That is really exciting. I'm the age now where I'm on Medicare, and part of when you have your yearly physical is they give you the memory test. But I love that what you said before you turn 65, if you have any symptoms or anything, to talk to your doctor, because there are some, like you said, this has just hit the market right now.
Right.
What are some of the symptoms people should be looking for?
So I know,
to talk early about.
A lot of people get nervous when they think, oh, I'm forgetting things. I can't remember where I put my keys, or I walk into the room and I don't remember where I am. Here's the difference with that. You will probably remember a little later where you put your keys, or you will remember when you walk back out of the room why you walked into the room in the first place. That's just normal. That's normal. But what isn't is perhaps when you're taking a walk around the block that you've walked around many times and find that you are lost and you don't know where you are.
Scary.
That is. And that is something that really needs to be checked out. People know. They just haven't been feeling like they maybe want to talk about it so much. So there's early onset Alzheimer's. There's people that have been diagnosed
very
early.
young.
Yeah, in their 40s, 50s, 60s. Granted, the older we get, the much higher
the risk
possibility that it could happen. More women definitely are diagnosed more with that, but there are plenty of men. So it's something that can affect everybody. So we need to try and keep our brains healthy and, head to toe. Taking care of our whole body makes a difference and is good for us.
Learned so much in the last few years, and I think the Alzheimer's Association has done so much to get the message out there. And so the biggest fundraiser of the whole year, I know when people sometimes die, they leave money to Alzheimer's, the memorials, but the Walk to End Alzheimer's. So why don't you tell us? We're so fortunate we don't have to go to Minneapolis or Duluth as we have to do for some fundraisers. We have it right here, so tell us.
Right here. So it's amazing. There are 631, I think, 31 walks throughout the United States. So if you're traveling somewhere or you're not sure where I'm not going to be able to be here, but look around. If it's walk season, there's probably one close in your community. So ours here in the range takes place in Chisholm. the Minnesota Discovery Center.
A beautiful venue for a walk.
Beautiful.
Whoa.
This is what's fun. When you arrive, they have people movers, so you can get a ride to go to where you're going to start the walk. So if you don't want to walk all the way from the beginning, then you can do that. So that's really fun. The venue is beautiful. The paths are lovely. There's a dance studio that does really cute, sweet performance.
The
People get
opening show.
involved. Yes.
It's
yes.
kind of like a pep fest when you're in high school or something like that. It really is heartwarming.
Yeah.
Plus, I really love that you include some people who have lost loved ones or who are experiencing early onset of Alzheimer's. You have caretakers that are
Yeah.
caretaking at this minute. And everybody that walks gets a flower. So why don't you tell us a little bit about the
Sure,
flowers?
Sure. So the walk is going to start at 9 o'clock in the morning as registration. They call it registration. I call it the pre-party.
And what's so nice is that, please write this September 16th on your calendar, because some people are apprehensive and think, oh, I might not be around. But it's one walk that you can go on the 16th and sign up.
Right, and there's no charge to register. If you do choose to fundraise, after $100, they will send you a T-shirt.
Yes, I have one from before, and each year they're beautiful, and can have a whole wardrobe of purple shirts.
Yes, and you've been a champion, which has been wonderful. So thank you so much for doing that.
Oh, you're welcome.
So people will come during that registration time, do a little mingling. There's some different booths to check out, team photo area, which is fun. Then we go down, we have that ceremony, beautiful ceremony, honor guard. It's so nice to be able to come together and say the Pledge of Allegiance. We don't get to do that enough, I don't think. The performance, we talk through, we maybe shed a tear or so, it's touching. And for me,
so
like
touching.
you said, it's that flower ceremony. So we have 4 flowers. So the yellow represents caregivers. So anyone who comes to the walk, they would pick out their flower, which one applies most to them. So yellow is for caregivers.
And it's interesting too, caregivers, sometimes a person might have their whole family being the caregiver.
Yes.
I mean, plus maybe their neighbors
Yes.
and friends. And
Right.
yes.
Like we said, 168,000 unpaid caregivers. And then there's paid caregivers too. So it's big. Orange is for those who maybe don't have the real personal connection, but they are advocates. They want to see that this gets taken care of.
That's how I started the first time I walked it. And now, sadly, I know.
And what
so
color
many.
do you carry now? You carry purple because you've lost somebody.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah. Purple is for those who have lost people.
Yeah. And then our blue for people who have been diagnosed and are willing to share that fact and come together and say, yeah, you're walking for me. And I've had a lot of people lately who've brought their loved ones to different events or whatever, and they will say, I want you to meet my wife. You're walking for her. And it is really sweet. And it's a place of, we want them to feel dignity in this. It's a journey. We all have different journeys we have to go through, and this is one that we can do together.
It's such a beautiful ceremony. I just invite people, even if you don't want to walk, that's very fine. And it's one of the few walks I've done in my life that nobody's on your case if you just stand up and sit down again and go out and just clap for people. And I love it too. It's such a family event.
Yes.
There's few things around where you have babies in strollers and you have all ages of families walking for their loved ones. It's just, it's touching.
Don't we want to teach our kids to have compassion? And isn't this a great way to come together to do that and let them kind of get that view above and beyond? There's one more flower I didn't bring and I didn't mention.
Oh, the white.
But the white. So we have a child who will hold that white flower because that is the symbol of the first survivor of Alzheimer's. And so there's hope, that flower of hope, and it's really sweet, and I'm so thankful I never have to talk after that.
I know it is. It's just really an emotional, and I really think it's so great. I looked at a few statistics before we sat down, and between 2000 and 2019, heart disease, one of our number one killers of people, went down 7%. And in that same time frame, Alzheimer's went up 145%. We're living longer, and we really, your group hasn't been around to pay a lot of money to research, but now you are.
Yeah, it's super exciting. And something the Alzheimer's Association does do, there is a website, so alz.org/walk if you'd like information on the walk. But even if you're just looking for information at alz.org, you want to look at that. Maybe you have to have a difficult conversation. Maybe you need to talk to somebody that they might not be driving anymore, they shouldn't be driving anymore. Maybe they need to talk about, what do we want to do for a plan? Or maybe you're thinking, I'm a little concerned about myself. I need to look at this. And so there's warning signs that are on there, lists of it. There's also another list, kind of little classes. Little classes is what I would say.
And it's a beautiful web page.
It's a great web page.
Oh, and it's
Yeah.
so easy to find because it's just the six.
alz.org. Everybody should know it. And then also there's an 800 number. And this is really, really important. This is a 24-hour a day, 7-day a week, even on Christmas, even on Thanksgiving. Someone will answer that phone if you're having a moment where you need help or you're having a question. You're not sure what to do. Holidays bring out tough times in people sometimes, and I've had a number of people who have said, hey, I didn't really want to pay attention that this was happening, but we had Thanksgiving, something
We spent the whole
happened,
day together.
and I realized that my mom really does, and I went in the other room and I called this number, and the person talked me down. And they were so kind. They just helped me, kind of talked me off the ledge of what was going on and gave them a plan. There's support groups. There's local support groups that happen here on the range. You can find that information as well. Some of the locations change here and there. The dates are on there.
And I think it's really good too in our newspaper.
Yes.
They have where they're meeting, and I've heard so many people what support it is that sometimes you think you're alone.
Right.
And then you see that there's so many people that are experiencing, and you can share stories, and it's beautiful.
Hibbing is a special community when it comes to our sponsors. So Edward Jones is our national sponsor for all over the Walk to End Alzheimer's. In Hibbing, there are 5 Edward Jones offices, and they take this so seriously. They are involved up and down, even helping in the support groups. They help on the committee. They do amazing things. We've got some other great local sponsors here too. Monarch Health, Diamond Willow is one. I don't want to forget anybody, but AmVets, they're wonderful. They're doing the kids area this year, which is really sweet. The Owens Family Foundation, and then Jack and Jan Ryan also came on to do some things. So if people are interested in being sponsors, for next year, we'll talk about for next year, but please reach out. We'd love to have more people involved in that. It makes a difference.
It really does. And for people that walk, they're making a difference too because they're asking friends and family for money. And I think it's really great what you raised here. In the years that I've done it, I've seen you go from just not single digits, but all the way up to...
Yeah, this year's goal is 85,000. So, and last year was 75,000, and they raised 78,000. So there's heart for it. I have people who say sometimes, "Oh, I don't really like asking people for money," and I remind them, you're not asking money for yourself. You're asking for the good cause, to help your neighbors, to help your grandma, to help your mom, whatever it is. But it isn't just like we're taking it and being frivolous. The association is so good about being transparent about their funds. Very small, 4% only is over the administration. And just like I said, we talked about the territory I cover. So that's one little person, one little Tammy in all this area. So the volunteers mean everything to this organization. And I've done my best in trying to work with people and help them, achieve their goals and give them ideas of things that they might want to do and make good memories together, because that's so important. Every day, make a good memory every day.
We're just so grateful to have you heading this all up. And You do just a phenomenal job. You have energy that doesn't stop, and such a good spokesperson for Alzheimer's.
Thank you.
I've just really encouraged the progress that has been made, and that it's something locally. People can go out on September 16th at 9 in the morning, and I love it too that it's not a full day commitment. And if you can only come for the send off, the part in the stage at the pavilion at
Right.
Discovery Center, it is phenomenal. I just can't say enough about how good it is.
Yeah, your heart will feel full. You will feel connected to your community in a way that you've not maybe felt that connection before.
And what if people do not have internet to go into alzheimers.org, or they don't have to donate online?
Sure.
Because there are still a few people that don't.
Yes, absolutely. You know, right here, I would say Edward Jones is a fantastic local place that they could go and connect with. They can mail a check to the Alzheimer's Association and put in the memo, this is a donation toward the Range Area Walk. But I bet you have a team, don't you?
Yes, I do.
Yes, they can make a donation.
You can make a donation to me.
To Patty's team,
Yeah, to our
which would be
team.
great.
Yes.
Yeah, there are people who are involved, so you can make a donation in that way, or you can send in a check if you want to do that. And the day of, you can also bring donations to that. Because like I said, there's no charge to register, so a lot of people will gather their donations all year long. We have envelopes there, secure. People will turn in their money that day too.
Oh, it's wonderful. And I think you are just so good to the people that walk too. You don't feel like you come a stranger. I mean, everybody is so warm and welcoming and very happy that you're there. And it's just a beautiful event. But the most beautiful part is where the money goes and the difference that it's making.
Yeah, it is.
So we are running out of time, but any last words that you want to say out to our community?
Again, just go check out that website, alz.org. Look for a walk near you. This one, of course, is on the Range in Chisholm here on September 16th. You don't have to do this alone. If you have any concern that you might be being affected or one of your loved ones is, please reach out to that helpline. They can give you good advice. Thank you so much, Patty.
Oh, thank you. And thank you all for tuning in. And we really hope to see you at the Walk to End Alzheimer's on September 16th at Minnesota Discovery Center. Take care, and we'll see you there.
Thank you.
Hibbing Public Access Television would like to thank U.S. Bank for providing us with studio space.